Welcome back to the VybeShift Podcast, where we explore what it means to live as a vibrational being in a world that often feels disconnected from its deeper purpose. In the previous episode, I shared something very personal. For years, a single question lived inside of me: life, what's the point? That question eventually became the audiobook, Life, What's the Point?, which has now begun its journey into the world. But once that question begins to open inside a person, another question naturally follows. And that question is this: if life actually has a point, why do so many people feel lost? Look around our world for a moment. We have more technology, more information, and more opportunity than any generation in human history. And yet many people still experience a deep sense of confusion, anxiety, or disconnection. People wake up, go through their routines, and somewhere deep inside they quietly wonder, is this really what life is about? Why does something still feel missing? I don't believe this feeling means something is wrong with us. In fact, I believe the opposite may be true. That feeling of being lost may actually be the beginning of awakening. Because most of us were raised inside a system designed primarily for survival and productivity. We were taught how to get good grades, how to build a career, how to pay bills, how to meet expectations. But very few of us were ever taught how to ask the deeper questions of existence. Questions like, who am I really? Why am I here? What does it mean to live a meaningful life? So when those questions eventually arise inside us, they can feel uncomfortable at first. They disrupt the familiar patterns we've been living inside. But disruption is often the first step towards clarity. Sometimes feeling lost is simply the moment when the old maps stop working and the new one hasn't appeared yet. I think of it this way. If you've ever been hiking in the mountains, there's a moment when the trail disappears. The markers fade, the path becomes unclear. In those moments, you may feel temporarily lost. But what is actually happening is that you've arrived at a place where deeper awareness is required. You have to slow down, you have to pay attention, you have to become present. In many ways, the feeling of being lost in life works the same way. It is life gently asking us to pause and begin paying attention to something deeper. And once we begin asking those deeper questions, something remarkable often begins to happen. We start to notice that meaning isn't something handed to us from the outside. Meaning begins to grow from the inside, through curiosity, through awareness, through connection, through service, through love. The point of life may not be something we were told. It may be something we discover as we become more fully ourselves. And that is where VybeShift enters the conversation. Because VybeShift is ultimately about a shift in how we experience life itself. A shift from unconscious living to conscious living. A shift from simply surviving to becoming aware of the deeper mystery of being alive. And when that shift begins to happen, something beautiful occurs. Life stops feeling like a puzzle that must be solved and starts feeling more like a journey that can be explored. So if you've ever felt lost, I want to offer you a gentle perspective. Maybe you're not lost at all. Maybe you're simply beginning to wake up. Maybe you're standing at the very edge of a deeper understanding of your life. And maybe the question that's beginning to arise inside you is not a problem, but is an invitation. An invitation to discover your own point. Here's a reflection for you. If life truly has a point, what experiences, questions, passions in your life seem to be quietly pointing you toward it? Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who might also be asking deeper questions about life. And if you feel called to explore the question even further, the audiobook Life What's the Point has now begun its release across audiobook platforms. Until next time, keep wondering, keep listening, and keep elevating your vibration.